whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
Welcome to Talking Horror with Jamie and Nikisha.
Hi, I'm Jamie.
And I'm Nikisha, and this is Talking Horror with Jamie,
And Nikisha.
where we share our love for spooky things and talk horror through the lens of human behavior. Well, welcome, everyone. What a special day, because happy Friday the 13th. I think in honor of the holiday, because we are a horror podcast, we must cover Friday the 13th. But not just any Friday the 13th. We are talking about the 2009 reboot of Friday the 13th. And guys, just bear with us, okay, as we discuss this and talk through this. Like, 'tis the season, okay? So we're just fulfilling the need. So this movie was directed by Marcus Nispel and written by Damian Shannon and Mark Swift. And this movie stars Jared Padalecki. I hope I'm saying that right. Danielle Panabaker, Aaron Yu, Amanda Rigetti, Travis Van Winkle, and Derek Mears. And this is the 12th installment. Count 'em, 12th installment in the chain. And there has not been another one after this, right?
Correct.
Okay, so it's been a minute, and I'm sure in the near future we might be seeing some form of another Friday movie.
Well, we are producer Brian here. They did announce a Crystal Lake TV show about a young Jason, I think.
Okay.
That's going to be on Peacock. But I know Jamie mentioned this on TikTok, that they've been through a lot of like legal battles over the like who owns the character and all of that stuff. And I think like Universal or NBC or whomever is producing the Crystal Lake one, like found a loophole or something where like they can like own like the young character of Jason, but not like the slasher Jason. Like,
That I did not know. That's wild.
there's some wild loophole like that. I don't know. I also think, is it Derek Mears
Oh, okay.
who played I don't know.
Well, I was thinking mares, but also English is
Oh,
wild and random. So
I
could
love
be-
that
Seems
thought
wild
process.
and random.
Yeah, I mean, mares, but Mears. Okay, either one. I'm sorry, Derek. One of those. Please come join us on the podcast and talk about your experience in this movie.
I
I'd
mean,
love to hear it.
I mean, he's been in The Hills Have Eyes too, Predators,
Yes.
Pirates of the
Hansel and
Caribbean.
Gretel Witch Hunters.
Oh man, I would love to have him on the podcast. We could talk about so much good stuff.
He's Swamp Thing.
What?
Oh man,
On TV.
that's cool.
Didn't know that. See? Well, there you go. Shout
I've
out
seen
to
him also a
everyone.
lot at conventions, like signing stuff and like stuff like that. He seems like a super nice guy. And like Jamie and I kept saying the whole time, like, what a thick neck.
I did comment on that so many times.
I mean,
He stole my thing. It was I don't know if it's a
Oh.
like or a gripe, but I wanted to talk about how thick that neck was.
I mean,
It just kept getting thicker.
I think so. The girth was expanding as the movie went on.
That's what I hated that you said that, and I hate that you said it again. But we're jumping the gun.
Yes,
we are jumping the gun. We gotta get into everything, likes and gripes, and all of this. So obviously, heavy spoilers for Friday the 13th. If you have not seen it, we'll be talking everything from thick necks to all of the boobies and everything.
Oh my God.
just gratuitous everything. Good times. So Jamie, tell us about any other trigger warnings in here.
Yeah, I mean, no joke. Definitely excessive nudity in places where you don't think people need to not have clothes on. But
Exactly.
I feel like there must have been a boob quota that needed to be hit. So if you like your characters clothed, don't watch
watch it.
this. It's a slasher. There's plenty of insides on the outside. in a variety of ways. And better yet, if you do like boobs and you like slashers, they're oftentimes they intersect. So if you don't like those things, both of them, there's also like a ton of weed references in this movie. Like a ton. I feel like a 12-year-old wrote this movie.
Yeah. What are you?
But if you don't like any of those things, then steer clear.
Great. Well, before we get into the plot summary, producer Brian, do you have some more words to give to the people?
Sure. Happy Friday the 13th. I think we have 2 this year. I know we're releasing this a little beforehand, but it's the week of Friday the 13th. Let's stay spooky.
Yes.
We are excited to bring you Friday the 13th from 2009. Excited with an asterisk, of course. But if you want to find all of our super cool stuff, you can find us on social media, on TikTok, at Talk Horror Pod. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram if that's where you spend your social media time. And then, of course, find us and watch us on YouTube. Hello, YouTube! Yeah. Oh, that's a super cool shirt.
Yes, my friend got it for me for Christmas. I have to find who the artist was, but
Oh, wow.
it was
The
someone who
ghost
What's your favorite
face.
scary movie? Oh, that's so
and
cute.
then it says, "Hello, Sydney." On the arm,
Oh, on the sleeve?
On the sleeve.
Oh,
Wow.
that's very cool.
That's super cool. That's super cool. Actually, you know what I found? So we had friends stay with us this weekend. And I went to London with these friends, and we were reminiscing about a show we had seen called Love Story that starred Neve Campbell, and I have her autograph on the
What?
playbill. Yeah, I totally forgot that. I have her. It was her, Cillian Murphy, and a couple other people. That was Michael. What's his name? I'll think of it. But from Better Call Saul. But yeah, it was so cool.
Oh, so good. We love Nev. R.I.P. her not being in the next movie, but it's okay. It's gonna be a fun time regardless. All right, so let's get into it. We need a 2-minute plot summary. I'll volunteer as tribute unless someone is dying to talk about this movie.
No, I think you need to do it.
Okay.
What's the plot?
Right, you setting us up with that timer?
Yeah. Do you always hit the calculator when you're trying to hit the clock? I do that on a regular basis. That's not even like here, if you're your first time listening, if you heard it, we do a 2-minute countdown to try and get the plot out. And I would say 95% of the time when I'm doing the timer, I absolutely hit the calculator first. That's just that's my whole life. All right, Nikisha, you ready?
I guess.
Tell us about Friday the 13th, 2009.
So it opens up giving you flashes of what actually happened with Jason and his mom. The mom is mad because the counselors didn't look after Jason and he drowned. But so she starts killing counselors. But then apparently Jason is alive. And so he sees his mom get unalived and she's beheaded and he keeps the head. And now his revenge is to kill any teenage-y person that comes within his Crystal Lake area. So then we have a group of really idiotic, crazy teenagers who are out there to camp, but also to find weed. They all get slashed. And you're thinking, oh, why is everybody dying so soon? Because that's not the real story. The story is there are other teenagers that are dumb and are camping. And there's one in particular who is looking for his sister, who was a part of the first group that got killed and lost, and so he's looking for her. So he runs into all these teenagers that are at
1 minute.
This little camp. Great, that are at this campsite, and they're all doing various things. Lots of nudity, lots of horny teenager tropey things are happening, and then they all get unalived one by one. And then we find out that the sister is actually alive, and Jason was keeping her because she kind of looks like his mom, I guess is what the vibe is. So eventually the brother and one of the last survivors of the second group find the sister, get her, but then the last of the second group not survivor, she gets killed. And then brother and sister try to escape, but then they try to actually kill Jason, and they think that they did, and so then they carry the body to dump it in the lake, and then when they dump it in the lake and the mask falls off of him, but the twist at the end, he comes back in and he, mask and all, kills them, and then blackout.
And that's the plot.
You nailed it.
That is the movie, and oh, what a movie. Let's get into it with our first segment of Likes and Gripes.
And now our likes and gripes.
And with this, I will say, tell us your relationship, if you've seen the movie before, your relationship with the Friday the 13th chain in general, because it's a lot of movies. Jamie, you want to start?
Sure. I saw this. I'm pretty sure I saw this in theaters when it came out, and that's the only time that I saw this ever. So I only saw it once, and then generally, I mean, I've seen the first one. I don't even know how many times. So. That's, and whatever things Brian has since been catching up on, I've caught glimpses, but man,
yes.
This is so disappointing. Even having seen it before, I couldn't remember anything other than I knew it was not good. I even forgot who was in it, and I was like, oh, Jared, oh, Danielle,
right,
that's fun. Oh, Ben Feldman, neato.
Yeah.
But like, I was shocked. Brian can attest to it. I was like, oh, look at my friends hanging out. I was shocked. The only actual thing that I remembered from this movie, both from the movie itself and from the trailer, if you can believe it, because I distinctly remember this in the trailer, is the arrow kill when the guy on the boat gets shot in the head with the arrow. And I was like, ooh, what? That was my reaction when I saw it in the trailer and the first time. This time I knew it was coming, so I wasn't like, cartoon animal shocked. But yeah, I was like, in what world is Jason, who already like drowned and then came back to life, like when did he learn how to shoot a bow and arrow?
Absolutely.
And that's really all you need to know about the quality of this movie. Every single character is stupid. That's my first note when watching it. Everyone is dumb. Nobody does anything in like a thoughtful, intentional way. It's like truly like everybody has a bag over their head and they're all just trying to do things, but like they can't because they're fundamentally missing an important part of like operating as a person. Yes. Also, so like everyone is stupid. This movie feels like it was written by a middle schooler. There's just like so much gratuitous nudity where like it doesn't make sense. And I get it. I get that like that's part of the Friday the 13th like shtick, is that everyone's too busy, having sex, having fun, not paying attention to what's going on. Or I guess in the original, the kids, but none of these folks are camp counselors. They're just happen to stumble upon, where this camp used to be. But like the beginning scene where the woman's like getting naked behind the guy talking about GPS systems, I was just like, what? And then when the woman, the other woman who goes water skiing topless, why do you need to do that? And then to top it off, the cherry on top of that was her stupid murder underneath the dock, where her head she gets stabbed in the head, gets yoinked up because he's pulling the thing out, and so naturally, of course, more titties. I don't need any more titties. I'm good. Leave me alone. That was the stupidest one.
Put your
I was
titties
like,
away.
please, I'm good. Thank you. And then like like everyone was talking about weed so much in this movie. I was like, has anybody ever even like this? The way that they're talking about weed is like the people who are like, yeah, I'm super cool, I smoke weed. And I'm like, you don't even probably know what weed looks like. You'd probably pick up a bottle of alcohol and think it was weed. Like, it was just so unnecessary. I felt like they had a quota to hit for like, all right, what's this scene missing? Boobs and here's a joint. We'll throw that in. It'll be great. I was like,
Yes.
oh my God, this is so dumb. And so like, because there's so many more boob shots and like people having sex and smoking weed, they like took out all of the dialogue that's logical, and like nobody is is doing anything. Another stupid one was I don't even know any of these people's names, to be totally honest.
No,
Everyone, oh my God, everyone looked the same. And they all could have been
men looked the
interchangeable. They all had this, every guy had the same douchey, long, shaggy haircut from the early to late 2000s. That was really cool. Like surfer kind of dude. And then every woman like all looked the same. Like I truly couldn't tell any of them apart. And then I got nervous that I forgot what Danielle Panabaker's face looked like, because I was like, wait, no, I know what she looks like. None of these people are her, right? And I literally went on to like look them up because I was confused. But the stupidest, that distracted me from what I actually thought was the stupidest thing, which is whoever was the girl that was left when they finally were in the cabin and they were like, oh, Jason's coming. Like, and they're like, we can't, Jared's like, we can't go outside, and they're all like freaking out and like yelling at each other. The woman just starts yelling, shut up, shut up, shut up, and literally nothing is happening. No one was talking in that moment. I was like, why are you screaming? For what? Nothing, no one said anything. Why are you saying shut up? It was so dumb. None of these people are peopling. Why is the dumbest person have the gun just shooting wildly? Somebody should have accidentally been shot with how he was shooting wildly.
I thought that was what was gonna
that would have
happen.
been that would have been way more logical. And my last beef that I'll say is there is zero so okay, I know that slasher horror villains can, typically move at a speed that is so fast, but like reasonable. Can Jason fly now? Can Jason, is he faster than the speed of light? He's so fast, it defies all logic. He's everywhere. Like, the sequence of all of these kills, I'm like, when is this happening? It doesn't seem to be in chronological order, because like, how is he going from like the shed to the roof? How the fuck did he get up there? Like, I truly have no idea, because it didn't seem like there was any way outside of the house for him to get up there. So did he sneak into the house, climb out of a window, get onto the roof, like throw someone off, or just be there menacingly, and then go back inside the house, go down the stairs, and nobody fucking saw him? Like, I do not understand how Jason got around. It was in fucking sane, and that's
that has been Parlor Talk.
Yeah.
With Jamie.
Oh my God.
Come, sit, have a drink. It's Parlor Talk.
Jason
can fly, guys.
I guess. The MCU should pick him up, because he's all over the place.
That's perfection. I'll piggyback off of that, because a lot of the things that you said, I agree with, Jamie. But I will say the mini flashbacks at the beginning with like actor names and who's writing it, and then the flashback story, I hated that. I for some reason it just
interesting.
It wasn't visually appealing to me, because if this is going to be the core reason why someone is doing what they're doing, I feel like it shouldn't be in just flashes of that nature. It makes it seem like it's not as important in my opinion, watching it. I will say I was looking on the Wikipedia, and it said that I think they were having kind of the same like legal issues of trying to redo this or whatever, because it was going to be a completely different kind of script, but then they went back in and they wanted to place these flashbacks at the beginning because they said that they wanted people to feel sorry for Jason but still keep the menacing slashery nature of Jason. I'm like, you did not accomplish any of those things, not even like just making him a good slasher. It's just, and for all the reasons that Jamie has already said, so I won't get into that. As much as I enjoy tropes, and you have like the nerd and the horny couple and all of those things, I can get down with camp. But for some reason, this movie, and I wish I could articulate it better, but this movie just missed the mark of being campy. I think it was trying to be more serious, but if it would have just leaned more into just to making everything so absurd, then I think I would have liked it better, because I do enjoy campy, tropey slasher movies. I can get down with that. But this one, I think it was just taking itself a little too seriously. Actually, and you know what? I think it's mostly because of the script. Because one of my other notes is that it feels like all of these lines are improv, especially the whole opening scene with the GPS and the guys and everything.
Yeah.
It literally just felt like they said, we need to get to this point, so whatever dialogue you want to say to get this particular point across, go forth and do it. And that's exactly what it felt like. And also, Jamie said something similar, but you said it felt like a middle schooler wrote this. To me, this feels like, you know, when you see those posts of when they feed AI, like, all the Harry Potter movies, and then they make a Harry Potter movie? That is what this movie is. Somebody fed AI a whole bunch of slasher movies and said, make up a story, and this is what that is. I so many things wrong with this. And again, I'm trying not to repeat what Jamie had said, but I'll also say this. My favorite line out of the whole movie was, what? Because I'm black, I can't listen to Green Day? Because absolutely. And I love Green Day.
Oh my God.
So bad. And then the last thing I'll say, because we can go on and on just about the things that I did not like about this, but I really would have loved to have seen Jason versus Michael Myers as opposed to like a Freddy versus Jason. I know this is like a random side note.
Interesting.
But I feel like that would have been a better fight. Maybe, I don't know how those worlds could collide. I mean, they made Freddy and Jason's worlds collide for some odd reason. But I feel like if anywhere in the universe someone was like, you know, I have enough money for shits and giggles, I just want to create a Michael Myers versus Jason moment, I would absolutely be down for that. So somebody make that happen, please. Brian,
beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna start with my gripes. I'll just go through them, and then I'll end on the positive of my likes. But my relationship with the Friday the 13th chain is small, because as we all know, if you've been listening or if you're new to the podcast, I did not grow up watching slashers. The only slasher I really saw growing up was like Psycho and Scream. Like, I hadn't seen any of the Halloween movies, any of these movies, any of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies until the lockdown when Jamie and I really watched them. However, we've covered the original Friday the 13th on this podcast, so I've watched that. And then I decided to start watching them on my own. So I've watched part 2 and part 3, and then we also covered Jason X on this podcast. So this one is my 5th Jason movie. I'm gradually working my way through. 1 and 2 are really good. 3's okay. And Jason X is just a blast. So this was my first time watching this one, and I've heard both sides of the story. I know people who love this one, and I know people who hate this one. I fall on the hated this one spectrum. I didn't like hate it, but like this was not an enjoyable watch. So here are my gripes. Nobody's a human. Why is weebs and weed and weebs? Why is weed and boobs a thing? It's called weebs.
Weebs.
Yeah. Is Jason hunting anybody? Like, why is he killing like the farmer that's on his property now? Like, it doesn't make sense at all. stupid dialogue, obviously. Inviting Clay into the house is truly the worst scene in this movie. That his like confrontation with the Trent character was truly bad. Also, side note, this movie is really poorly made. It's really dark. It's very claustrophobic in the shots, and they are not Steadicam shots. They are shaky shots. So you have you at the beginning, you really can't see like all of these murders, and that's the fun part. You know, it's all kind of like, it's really dark. The cinematography isn't great. Everything's super like tight shots and claustrophobic. It just didn't lend itself well to a thriller of any sort, especially a slasher. And like, I feel like this was also the style of movie making around then, because you have like the Bourne movies and stuff like that. One of the Bond movies was like that, Quantum of Solace. So like, that was a style, but it just didn't work for this movie at all. I also, okay, we got boobs. You know what this movie actually needed, or it should have had? Dong. This movie should have had a little bit of penis, because like, I'm sorry, it just like,
even it out.
yeah, I like, there were perfect opportunities for dong. I'm just saying.
Oh, that's great.
Everybody literally looks the same. Oh, poor minorities in this movie. They not only got the short shift in terms of shaft, whatever that idiom is, or that phrase is.
Short shaft, more peen.
Yeah, short shaft, more peen. I just like absolutely was so embarrassed for those two characters. The African American man and the Asian character just like were there for awful comic relief. They had lines that like, how did they even go home at night? Like, they must have just been like, thank God I'm in a major motion picture making money. Like, awful. Just like so embarrassing. She's just gonna go with him to the other side of the lake and like leave her friends and boyfriend. Like, that just seems like that's a leap. That's a true character leap.
Yeah, especially because I just want to say they didn't even seem like they were even a couple. For her to like go off and be with that other guy, and then him to just like sleep with the friend, like
yeah,
it was all
well,
weird.
That's also on my gripes. There was I know they were in a very crazy situation where like Jason was hunting them, but like there was no fallout from like that huge sex scene where he cheats on her at all. And that just felt weird. Like, she didn't even have a reaction to that. Like, clearly they're doing that in the room. Like, anyway, everybody's a bad boyfriend in this. When in doubt, show more boobs. Also, another thing, he didn't take the backpack. He was looking in the backpack for batteries. It's in front of him. There is no world in which I wouldn't have grabbed the backpack with me. It just, listen, I know that people are different, but like, that doesn't make sense to me. That really upset me. There were a lot of times where I just got up off the couch and was like, what are you doing? That was one of them. This one's a little bit controversial, or maybe not. I don't know. If Jason is supposed to be the character that we know him, living in the woods and all of this, he seems wildly smart, like, in this movie. But some things he's just, like, not smart about. It's just a weird juxtaposition of, like, who this character is supposed to be and why he's killing. It just, all of these things don't mesh together for me. Close the hatch. Oh, when his sister escapes, when Whitney escapes, like, close the hatch so Jason doesn't know that you escaped until he actually goes down. I
literally thought the same thing. I said, why are you leaving this open? Because now he knows that somebody is there, because he didn't leave it open.
Oh my God, awful. Okay, all of the talk of being rich that the Andrew Yu character Chewie does, in terms of like being rich and money and like all this, they talk about it so much, and it's not a thematic element of this movie, which seems really weird. Not that this movie had any themes except for boobs and weed, or as we said, weed. This is poorly edited. And that scene that Jamie was talking about when the woman is like screaming, like, stop it, like, there were such gaps, and the reactions to things were so far apart from each other, and a lot of things felt like in a weird order. So the editing in this was really poor. Jason can teleport. Oh, the jump scares in this movie are predictable and terrible. All of them. There was one that got me, but we'll talk about that. They say things a lot in this movie. They don't just do things like, oh no, my gun! Like, just show that he dropped the gun. Like, he's not gonna scream in the middle of the woods while running, looking for Jason, being like, oh no, my gun, it fell in the stream! Like, no.
Right.
I would say 90% of the kills in this movie are actually super lame.
Yes.
Jason, don't put him on the truck. You've been doing such hard work to keep your presence not known and hiding the bodies. And and the cops don't even say, look, people just go disappearing. I don't know. Like, if you're going to kill Trent and put him on the truck and drive him away, you got caught, bro. That was just real. Why are we putting him in the lake? Won't the cops need to see the body to prove that you didn't do this? Like, that was just... This movie felt like it's 97 minutes, felt like 2.5 hours.
I assumed that he wasn't even going to deal with the cops anymore at that point. I felt like he was just like, I'm done.
Yeah, but why move the bot? Just be like, hey, cops, he's in the barn. I'm out.
Right.
I don't know. All right, here are my likes. They did an excellent job of making me hate everybody except for the main characters. Wonderful job. The whooshing noises, anytime Jason turned around or moved quickly, the sound effects there, great. I loved them. Trent's scream when Bree is dropped on the cop car and he's in the cop car, he has this high pitched scream that made me laugh. It was wonderful. The jump scare of Jason on top of the bus, that's the only thing that got me in this movie.
Okay.
I got there. I liked the title card, when it appeared. I thought that was good. And I liked the initial framework and concept of this movie. I like the idea that this is a sequel to the original, similar to how they tried to do the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from last year. I like that this, or even the Halloween movie from the 2018 one or 2019, whenever the first one came out. I like the idea of connecting it to the first one, and I like the idea of us learning about what happened and how it's affected them now. But then the rest of the movie sucks. So. And also wasn't framed well. Anyway, and then my quotes, of course. I'm not going out there with a boner. Again, we needed more dong.
More peen.
Yeah, more peen. Technology, yee. They don't call me the wood wizard because I masturbate a lot. Great, thanks.
Oh, I hated that one. Oh my gosh.
And then my two favorite lines were during the sex scene. He says something about her boobs, but he ends it with dude. Love that. That's the broiest thing. And then, of course, when he's commenting on her perfect nipple placement.
It's who
Oh,
wrote
God.
this? Why? Which is why I feel like they were yeah, just go and do this, and whatever comes out of your mouth, we'll just keep it. And he was like, okay,
yeah.
Nipple placement. Got it.
Yeah.
There you go.
That was the AI at work.
It was. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, it was hard to try to come up with questions for Jamie, but let's move on to the next section. Brains.
Oh gosh.
I mean, no one had brains in this, so it's quite ridiculous. No one.
Oh, that's so good.
Okay, the only question that I have, Jamie, is it's speaking on coming to terms with a loss when you lose someone. And I'm speaking to the brother trying to find his sister. And, she's missing, so he's just, there could be a body. He's not really coming to terms with her being actually dead or whatever. But what if he never found that, her body, and he just had to kind of move on, not knowing exactly what happened to her? How can people process or get some type of closure and process their loss when they don't have all of the information at hand for them?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question because, a lot of times we're seeing grief modeled through this, I would say termination isn't like the best word, but it comes up a lot in this type of work about like relationships and there being some kind of like finite ending, and when you're able to like actually experience that ending and grieve the loss of that relationship, but when it's like unresolved and you don't have a definitive outcome or like there's missing information, I feel like for some people it's really, really hard. It's hard without like knowing with 100% certainty, like, you know, how do you move forward when things are unresolved? And yeah, I think for a lot of people, it's really challenging. I think acknowledging that pain, acknowledging the pain of not knowing. And I mean, it sounds like he already went through this process of like trying to connect with the police, not really feeling like they were helping. So like, you know, I think a lot about like what's in our control, what's not in our control, and how much he did on his own versus how much he relied on others outside of him to, you know, be helpful and things like that. But we don't always have control over other people. So like, again, how do you deal with like having to rely on these other entities to help solve this crime, get the answers for you when, you know, you're not what's his face from Supernatural and can do all of these things on your own.
Yes.
Where in reality, perhaps not everybody is able to seek out like a missing family member or someone that they have lost.
Yeah.
So I think like really acknowledging that the pain of the lack of like knowing with 100% certainty and like other things that you would do to address grief and like getting support around grief, definitely therapy, but also you know, like, are there things that you can do to like honor this person that you've lost, and like, you know, do you need to definitively know what happened to them in order to honor them? Not necessarily. Like remembering somebody, thinking about like, you know, happy times that you've had with them, like those are things that allow us to like continue to honor our loved ones even when they're not physically present. And again, like not being physically present can include both like definitively knowing that someone has died or it being left uncertain. So like doing those kinds of things, like continuing to lean on family and friends, whether it's other people who are like in the same position, and so like you're all kind of collectively grieving, or just having a really strong support system. Yeah, those are some of my suggestions.
Absolutely. Great suggestions. I have no more questions because that is all that I can think of. But I think that is a great answer.
Film.
I have a question for you, Nikisha.
Yeah.
As an actress, when you're given a script that is, you know, in your heart is bad, and you read your character, and a lot of things just are plot focused and not character focused, meaning that a lot of the plot is just leaps in terms of characters doing random things that aren't justified. How do you as an actress justify these like leaps in thought, in belief, for these to like, you know, keep these characters grounded but make the plot believable? An example here is, you know, the Danielle Panabaker character just like leaving to like go with the Clay the Clay Miller, the Jared Padalecki character. So like, what would you do in a scenario like that?
Yeah. Well, a simple answer, and it's what you were talking about with the minority characters. It's like, I'm just collecting my check and I'm gonna go. Thank you for the money. But in a sense of being an actor and everyone trying to connect with the material in some form or fashion, no matter how bad it is, I think when there are parts that are missing, you have to fill in the blanks for yourself. And I think, in a sense, maybe the Danielle character had other motivations within her that were not seen on camera or actually in the script that allowed her to justify going and leaving. Or you never know, sometimes in movies, because of editing or whatever the case may be, there might have been scenes that could have connected the thing.
Sure,
but
that's a good
then
point.
How it was edited it just didn't come across how they wanted it to. So there might have been some things that were just missing that she had information to that led her to be able to justify the intentions and the actions in the script. So yeah, I think if it's not in the script, you have to develop it for yourself in order to make the character true to who you want it to be. And then sometimes things just get edited out and we just don't see that. We don't know it. But all in all, collect your coin and move on to the next job. Beauty. Any other questions before we Rotten Tomatoes?
No. Oh, I do want to go back to the very beginning of this episode when I said I saw that Play love song. It was Michael McKean and Kristen Johnson. Kristen Johnson is from 30 Rock from the Sun and stuff like that. That's who I also saw. Anyway, you know, that's where my brain has gone because, you know, Friday the 13th. This is what a bummer. I really wanted to have this, like, have fun with this, but Nikisha, I think you nailed it at the beginning of this episode when you said that, like, it didn't lean into the camp. It had campy elements, but took itself too seriously. And I think that's the way you described it, like, really stuck with me throughout this episode. Like, if they had just, like, been a little bit more campy and fun about it, then I think I would have, like, this would have been, like, Jason X fun.
I was literally going to say that Jason, I think that was the perfect example when you said that. I was like, oh, yeah, because I had a great time watching Jason X. Because it leaned into all of the campiness. But this one, yeah, like you said, but it took itself too seriously. But Jason X is the perfect example of, like, here is the camp. We're going to give you all the things, and we're going to make all the kills so absurd, but still super cool. Like, I still will always remember that freeze or putting the face in the little, like, freezer thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Great moment. But yeah. Sorry.
No, it is okay. The only, like, none of the kills in this one are going to stick with me. Maybe the bow and arrow because it was just like, where are we right now? But like Jamie said, like, what? Anyway, yeah. So let's do some Rotten Tomatoes.
Yes.
Oh man.
Oh, and I will say, I don't think I said this, but I started watching this movie and I never finished it, like, a while back because it was streaming somewhere. But so because we were doing this episode, I had to fully sit and watch, so I didn't know, like, what was going to happen at the end.
I'm so sorry.
It's all good.
Oh boy.
All right, let's do some Rotten Tomatoes.
It's the Rotten Tomatoes game.
What do you think this has on Rotten Tomatoes? Jamie, let's start with you.
Oh God, I want to say like a 21.
All right, Nikisha, what about you?
Yeah, I was going to say 17.
Well, Jamie's closer with 25.
Wow.
Oh.
This has a 25%. It has a 46% audience score. And the critics' consensus is, though technically well constructed, Friday the 13th is a series rehash that features little to distinguish it from its predecessors. Actually, that's another thing that we didn't mention. I feel like Jason had no, like, personality in this. Not that I need personality from him, but, like, it was just all over the place in terms of, like, what he was actually doing. Like, I think that rules really help certain killers. Like, you know, I feel like, well, not even rules, but, like, at least guidelines and, like, ways that they kill and stuff like that. This just felt like a very generic slasher movie and not a Friday the 13th movie, even though they use pieces of the Friday the 13th lore in it. It doesn't necessarily feel like a Friday the 13th movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. You just have the mask, and that's it to say that it's Friday.
Yeah,
the 13th. Everything
yeah,
else
the
is...
mask and the flashbacks, really, and the like. There's a lot, but like, blah, boo earns.
Okay,
all right.
We do ratings?
Yeah, let's do the 4 S's.
Skull, scare, shakes, and suggestions. The Talking Horrors 4 S's.
All right, we have Skulls, Scares, Shakes, and Suggestions. Skulls is how well it handled mental health and human behavior. Scares is how scary was it. Shakes is how much you're gonna stick with you, and then suggestions is what would you put this on in a 2-pack. Jamie, let's do your 1 through 10s for skulls, scares, and shakes.
Sure. So for Skulls, I gave this a 1 because everyone is a big dum-dum in this whole movie. And I gave it 1. It got bumped up 1 point because Jared Padalecki said, "We can't go outside," which is probably the smartest thing anyone says in this entire film. Originally, I was going to give this movie 0 scares, and then I got twice, and I was so mad that I just gave it the 2 points for the 2 individual scares that it got me. One was when Jared gets like pulled up through the car, and Jason's behind him and gets him. And the second one, even though I knew it was going to happen, was the very end where he pops out from the stupid dock.
Yeah.
Sure.
I was like, "You dumb, big, brooding, giant-necked man, leave me alone."
Yeah, you were like, "Where's the dong?"
Where's the beef?
And then the first shakes, I gave it a 1 because I like I said, I couldn't even remember who was in this film.
Sure.
But if anybody ever says, "Oh, have you seen Friday the 13th, the one that came out in 2009?" I think, "Oh, is that the one where the arrow goes through that guy's head?" And that's the only thing that I will ever remember about this movie.
Fair.
Nikisha, what about you?
Yeah, Skulls 1, as Jamie says, the people were not peopling. Scares 1, not scary. And Shakes is also a 1. The only thing that I will remember is the gratuitous nudity. That's
Sure.
not even the kills. It's like
Right.
too many boobs.
And
Stop.
how you wanted more dong.
And how I wanted more dog. More peen, please. Thanks.
More peen, please.
For skulls, I have a 0. They were all numbskulls. Scares, I have a 1. Shakes, I have a 3 because the arrow scene and just like how confusing this movie was in general. So that's what I have there. Any suggestions? What would you suggest to pair with this masterpiece?
It's so hard because it's so bad. I mean, it's like, do you want to find another bad movie to pair it with? But I just went the route of reboots, and Brian, you already mentioned it earlier, but I would put the Texas Chainsaw reboot because I feel like it's better than this reboot, and it was better kills, better time, and if you want your just fill of slashery, but you don't want to watch the OG one, like the reboot of Texas Chainsaw.
For this to pair it with this one that's a really good one.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Jamie.
So I went in a slightly different direction. Also a reboot. I was like, why is Jared Padalecki? That's his name, right? I'm gonna say it wrong every time. In this film that's terrible at the point where I feel like it's the height of his career in Supernatural, or like the peak when Supernatural was like at a real high. And then I was like, what's another movie that his co-star Jensen Ackles was also in a slasher, weirdly the same fucking year, and also was not very good? My Bloody Valentine 3D.
Oh no.
So another slasher, another reboot of like another 80s reboot. And it was in 3D, so you got that going for you.
All three.
But yeah, so mine is a Supernatural 2-pack, except both of the movies aren't that good.
Obsessed.
All right. I went a little different. I went with The Final Girls, an actual good movie that is a spoof of slashers like the original Friday the 13th. It's way more fun. It's funny. The kills are good. It's emotionally heartfelt in places. A way better slasher than this ever meant to be. So that's what I'm going with.
Nice.
Not too shabby.
Yeah, I think it's a good list of things.
Yes, but I don't think there's any dong in that movie. Just to let people know.
Darn it.
I don't remember. I'd have to rewatch it on my, going in my dong dar.
On that note, that concludes our episode of Friday the 13th. Happy Spooky Friday, everyone. You can follow us. Spooky. You can follow us on all of the social medias at Talk Horror Pod on the Instagram, on the Twitter. Look us up on YouTube so you can see our faces and how we're reacting to all of the crazy things that we talk about and not having enough dong. And Brian, where can they listen to us?
Sure, you can listen to us wherever you find podcasts, including Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and of course, Apple Podcasts. Rate and review us there. 5 stars, please.
And thank you.
And thank you.
Oh, I have an ending quote for this one. I forgot to say.
Oh yes, I'm excited.
It was towards the very, very end, and old sister girl was taking the machete right before she takes the machete to Jason, and she says, "Say hi to mommy in hell," and then slashes him. It's so bad.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Also, it took her forever to get over there to save her brother.
Oh my God.
That was wild.
Yes, it was awful.
Also,
Awful,
poor Daniel Panabaker. Like, what a lame death for being alive for so long in the movie.
For so long.
Yeah.
I thought she was going to come back since we didn't see her, like, actually die.
Officially die, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But, like, that was me being optimistic. Alas, poor York. I hardly knew ye.
On that note, thanks guys for listening.
Bye.